Okay, so let's talk about Terrifier, which Terrifier 2, by the way, is just running the records right now over there at the theater because they just went on to like make a ton of money, and it's a great time for horror, honestly. 2022 has just been the best year for horror in a while, and I'm making another video on that. I'm talking about it on TikTok currently, so if you want to follow that, make sure you're following us on TikTok at Culture Elixir. But let's talk about Terrifier because let's talk about that ending and everything we can expect from Terrifier 2, which I haven't watched Terrifier 2, but I plan to at some point. It's just like it's not playing a lot in my area, so it's kind of hard to really get into a showing and all of that. And then there's other movies I'm watching as well. So when I get the chance, I will definitely talk about Terrifier 2. Hopefully, we see it at a screening pretty soon. But let's talk about the first Terrifier, which I think definitely changed the game up for horror when it came out. And now looking at Terrifier 2, it looks like it's doing the same thing. So Terrifier pretty much deals with Art the Clown, who is this maniac who is out here just killing people. This film pretty much starts off with his latest victim giving an interview about the events that happened, and it is this mauled woman who is there giving the interview. And as they're giving the interview, later on we hear the person that gave the interview to them talk about how they were like ugly and they were scared of them and just all of this horribleness you would never say to anybody like this. And this woman just vile with her comments. What we eventually see happen, however, is as this woman is alone, she is then attacked by the mauled woman, pretty much gouging her eyes and killing her in the process as the mauled woman laughs. We start our story off with two friends who are coming out of a party, it seems. It's like Halloween night, and then they spot Art the Clown. Art the Clown gives them this creepy look, and they're pretty much like, you know what, let's go out to eat, let's get sobered up before we drive or anything like that. So they're being responsible, and they're just going to be like, let's chill for a bit. When they arrive to the pizza place, however, Art the Clown is right behind them and sits right close to them, pretty much giving them these weird looks throughout. And I think some of the most iconic scenes in the movie for sure are these scenes in the diner, place, whatever you want to call it. And Art the Clown is this really creepy clown. Like, the more you look at him, the creepier he gets. And I give kudos to the actor for holding these faces for as long as he does in the movie, because I was trying to do that at a point just to see, and it was crazy. He's just like, I can't even do it. But Art the Clown is sort of having this infatuation with one of the girls, and he's just like staring, and then we pretty much get them creeped out so much that they leave. And Art the Clown also gets kicked out of the restaurant because he did something in the restroom, which we're not sure yet what exactly he was doing, but it seemed like there was a lot of guts and blood involved. Art the Clown then returns to the pizza place where he kills the owner, decapitating and pretty much making his head into a jack-o'-lantern, and then he kills the other worker by pretty much just like stabbing them a lot. So it gets crazy in this movie for sure. And like I said before about a lot of movies, if you're squeamish, you might definitely want to maybe skip this movie because it does get very gory quick, especially in the next scenes I'm about to talk about. So it is a very bloody, gory movie. Definitely a harder movie horror to watch if you're not really like, if you're squeamish with Saw, this is not your movie. I'm just gonna say it with that. We then pretty much get the friends who are back at their car, and they notice they have a flat. Of course, we know it's Art the Clown because they didn't have this flat before, and Art had seen the car as well. They then call up one of the other friend's sister, and they're pretty much like, hey, come and pick us up, we need you right now. And she's like, all right, it's gonna take a bit. The other friend has to go to the restroom, and she sees this like warehouse, this guy come out of it who looks like an exterminator, and he's pretty much like, sure, you can come use the restroom, while the other friend stays outside by herself, which is the first big no-no in any horror movie. Do not split up, do not be by yourself. But eventually she is just there by herself, and then on the radio she hears about the murder that happened at the pizza place we know as Art the Clown. And when they describe who did this murder, she is petrified because it is Art the Clown who just had been with them. And then we see the door open and Art the Clown comes in, and he's just all smiles. We then see that friend who went to the restroom encounter this homeless woman who kind of has something wrong with her because she sees this doll that she has as her baby. And she's talking about how she hasn't had a new neighbor in a while and all of this. So the woman is kind of a little bit scared about what's going on here, the young woman who went to the restroom. As she tries to leave, however, she encounters Art the Clown now chasing her, and she pretty much gets caught caught by Art. Okay, so as she is sitting there tied up and pretty much not being able to do anything, we see Art the Clown start to torture her friend, eventually cutting her in half and pretty much acting like a magician. And let me tell you, if you're squeamish, this is definitely where things really get super. I mean, it should have been the beginning, right? When you saw that model woman putting her thumbs through that woman's eyes. But if that wasn't enough for you, I think this one might be when this woman's getting cut in half. And so we eventually see she gets cut all the way through. And we then see that they have a little fight back and forth, the woman and Art, as she's trying to escape. And eventually Art surprises us all when he pulls out a gun and shoots the woman and pretty much shoots her dead by the end of it. He then is trying to get the other woman who is there, the one that wasn't all up there in her head and who has the fake doll as a baby of sorts. And this causes Art to have a breakdown of sorts where he's kind of having these like issues where he wants a mom, it seems. And she's pretty much like, all you need is a mother's touch. And then we cut to the young woman's sister finally making it to pick them up and eventually going into this warehouse as well. As you know, there was an exterminator here also who was sort of going to clean up the whole place, but then he also gets knocked out by Art the Clown. And then the sister of the woman finds a young woman on the ground and she expects this to be her sister, but as she gets closer she realizes there's something else like further out, and as she looks, it is that woman who had the fake baby as a baby, and she has been like mutilated. Her scalp is gone, her chest area, all of that. And we see that the woman who was on the floor, who she thought was her sister, is actually Art the Clown, who is now wearing the chest area of the woman as well as the woman's scalp, so as like hair and sorts. And this was some very interesting imagery, honestly, the way it looked and all of that. And we see this woman running for her life now from Art the Clown as she tries to escape and hide. She is then actually saved when another exterminator shows up, and he's pretty much there to help the other guy. This sort of causes Art to have to go and deal with that guy, which he does by completely turning this man dead and then using his head as a soccer ball. That's all I'm going to say about that. And we pretty much then see the other woman just trying to get out of all of this. She eventually is saved by the other exterminator man who was knocked out at first, but he didn't die. He calls 911, but then eventually he is killed by Art the Clown. And now this woman is just waiting for 911 to show up. Art then uses a truck to ram her down, and then he is just biting her face off as the police arrive and try to get Art, and then he just unalives himself right then and there in front of the police, and the woman is there now mauled. And yes, if you're wondering, wait, is that, yes, this woman is the mauled woman we saw at the beginning. But before we get to that, we also see that Art isn't dead as he arrives at the morgue, and then some like weird curse things start to happen. The lights will flicker, and then Art is alive, and then pretty much we get Terrifier 2. So we have not seen Terrifier 2, but let's talk about this ending right here. So Art the Clown pretty much is a supernatural being. We're pretty much assured of that with this ending, where there's like these like weird flickering lights and all of that happen that bring him back to life. And so I'm curious to see in Terrifier 2 what we see about that. Now the mauled woman, of course, we know is Victoria, who we saw at the beginning is the sister who actually got mauled by Art the Clown at the end as he was biting her face and everything. And I think that she eventually developed some sort of PTSD that really went another route and really made her like lose her mind, and this is the reason she went ahead and attacked the woman as well. But I think it could also be something to do with the curse that Art the Clown had us on his victims. If they don't get killed, maybe there's something that latches onto them, this evil of sorts as well, that made this woman be the way she is. Or it could just be that she has totally lost her mind at this point, which could be making sense as well. So I'm curious to see where Terrifier 2 takes us, but I thought that the first Terrifier really pushed the antics, and I'm curious to see because people are saying that Terrifier 2 pushes it even further. So I'm definitely going to try and check this out as soon as I can. I'm currently going to watch Triangle of Sadness next, which is another film I hear is crazy, but I will try to watch Terrifier 2 as soon as I get the chance. I'm going to be looking out for screenings and all of that for it, and we'll definitely talk about it because now I'm curious, my interest is piqued, and I definitely think that this is a film, if you're too squeamish or anything like that, you probably don't want to check out, because it does go all the way as it says. So anyways, let me know your thoughts and opinions on Terrifier, if you watched it or not, on that ending as well, which I thought was intense. As I was like this is crazy. As soon as like they turn the wheelchair and you see that this is the mauled woman, and I thought it was interesting how she just totally snapped at the end as well. So anyways, as always, that's gonna do it for me. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. We do have our giveaway video as well as the Patreon we just launched, so check out those videos if you want, and if you haven't already, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're on the road to 50,000 subscribers, halfway there. But anyways, as always, I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.